Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Stepping it up a notch. About to take everybody to class. Today we're going to talk about the foreign. Well, we're going to discuss the EIN number and the corporate structures of the EIN number. Now let me double check real quick to make sure that want to make sure I'm live real quick. So this is my first time using this particular method of going live. I don't want to waste my time for 8 hours. Okay, I think I am live. All right, looks like I am live. Particular method of going live. All right, let's get it. So look, so we're gonna talk about the EIN number and the corporate structures of the EIN number, because a lot of us that are going through the processes of beginning to establish our individual corporations outside of the corporations that was established for us and without our personal consent, but start establishing our own personal entities, LLCs, S corps, C corps, trusts and foreign trusts, and etc. Before we move forward in doing those things and producing any type of articles of incorporations, we have to really understand the basics on how to set up and structure the EIN number to avoid any type of complications, difficulties, and tax liabilities or penalties in the future. So, as far as the application process and filling out the form, I'm not going to be too technical on that, except certain things that you definitely want to make sure of. Everything else is really up to you personally, or how you want to decide to personally set up your corporate entity. You know what I'm saying? So what I do want people to understand is that the people out there that are talking about setting up trust, like, and they kind of, I can tell they really don't understand really what a trust is, because you know, especially like putting things in the trust and stuff like that. A trust is like nothing more. A trust is nothing more than a piece of paper, like any corporation or corporate entity is. This country is nothing more than a piece of paper. Of course, yeah. Realistically, yeah, there are people that help manage and operate and run this piece of paper to make the piece of paper what it is today. But ultimately, it would not be a corporation without this piece of paper. Basically, this what makes it valid and official. So this is realistically, this is a corporation. This is a corporation. That piece of paper right there, that's a corporation. Now, what else I decide to do with that corporation is up to me, but that is a corporation. Now, so before we jump the gun and start and actually develop a corporation and start operating as a corporation or operating a corporation, we need to establish a EIN number, preferably a foreign EIN number, or if not any, or if anything, it really all depends on what you're trying to do. To be honest with you, if you're trying to open up and establish a traditional type of business and stuff like that, okay, you might just want to look forward to establishing a S corp or EIN. Now S corp, real short on now, I'm not going to discuss anything else but the S corp's EIN. Now, for example, LLC is a limited liability company. Limited liability, it means exactly what it says. It's limited liability on the owners of the corporation, basically. Limited liability as far as tax purposes. And it's less. It takes less manpower and management to manage the structure of that LLC throughout the course of the year. In general, long story short, a person only has to worry about paying taxes or the taxes for that limited liability company at the end of the year, as opposed to throughout the course of the year, like an S corp or other variations of incorporations. But just like anything else, there's pros and cons to everything. You know, like there's a lot of different perks, especially write-off perks when you're dealing with S corps. But it all depends on what you're trying to do. Before you do anything and start establishing anything, like you really gotta look into these different structures to make sure that whatever structure you choose is gonna better suit you for the longevity of the corporation. Because you're gonna be pissed off if years go down the line and you could have you had an opportunity knocks at the door and you're not able to open it because you didn't properly establish a corporation or entity correctly in the beginning. So, but like I said, I'm not gonna get too far into that today. This purpose is mainly going out to the members of the Hellraiser Legacy and also the other affiliated groups and stuff like that that are moving forward into establishing trusts and, you know, establishing EIN numbers, establishing corporations and stuff like that for the benefit of operating privately in the United States. That being said, if you're not a member of the Hellraiser Legacy, make sure you visit the link inside the description. If you're not with us, you're against us. If you want, you know, for access, if you need access to the or want access to the private network, as well as the private community, where we not only share information, but we share our personal experiences. And if you need access and want access to any of the knowledge materials, work materials inside the resource center, we have tons of resources and resources upon resources upon resources. But definitely like the video, share the video, and definitely subscribe, at least to stay in tune. And let's keep it moving. So, short and sweet, in order to establish a foreign EIN number, when you say foreign EIN number, what you ask yourself, what does that mean when we talk about foreign EIN number? Foreign EIN number, anytime we talk about doing anything foreign, just know that we're talking about establishing something outside the United States corporation or outside the United States, the jurisdiction of the United States. What's the reason for doing things like that in as many ways as possible? Because that protects us from and removes us from the jurisdiction of the United States, which means that the United States can't penalize or demand and control our operations. So that's the sole purpose of doing things in a foreign capacity, which is also the same concept as operating in a private capacity. All right. Same reason why we you'll notice the people that have already authenticated their birth certificate, and when they ask you what country that you was authenticating for, you put either, you know, Taiwan, or some people put Jamaica. That's the same concept, same exact concept. Now, real short and sweet, I'm gonna keep this up here, but look, everything else is up to you guys. Short and sweet, right here where it says number 1, legal name of entity, and you're going to be answering these questions over the phone from the agent. And the number to call the IRS to do the EIN number online, because you cannot do it online. You may be able to do it by filling out the form and sending it in. I never done it that way, but you can go ahead and give it a try. But why wait? You can get it today. So, like I say, get up early in the morning before the phone lines get flooded, and call 1267 941-1099. They're gonna answer the phone and tell them yes, you're trying to establish, you want to establish a foreign trust. You're trying to apply for the EIN number for a foreign trust. They're gonna say, okay, cool. So now they're gonna ask you some real quick questions. They're not gonna ask you all these different things right here, not everything at least. Well, yeah, they will. But so look, number one, legal name of entity or individual. Now, of course, those of us that are into our studies, we know to be careful, or we know to recognize certain terminologies based on the different definitions of certain terms. You know, general definitions as opposed to legal definitions, and so on and so forth. Legal name of entity or individual. Now we all know that all of those different terms relate to the corporate entity. So if that relates to the corporate entity, what are we going to put there? How are we going to, what are they talking about there? That means they're talking about the corporation. What corporation? For what corporation do you want to establish the EIN number for? So, and for number one, you're going to put the name of your corporation, which would be, in this case, the name of your foreign trust. So you're going to put, so if your name is, your foreign trust was John Snow Trust, it's going to be like John Snow TTR, usually John Snow TTR for trust, or TR, I'm sorry. Now, trade name of business is different from line one. If you have something different, meaning if you have a legal name for your foreign trust or corporation, but you also have a DBA, a different name that operates up under that corporation or foreign trust that you're going to be doing business as. So what DBA is, you're doing, okay, we're John Snow TR, but we do business as Al Snow XYZ. So that's what that would be for. If you don't have a different variation or subdivision, DBA or corporation within the corporation, disregard number two. Executive, administrator, trustee, care of name. Okay, that's going to be that's also going to be the corporation. The mailing address. See, they asked for two different addresses right there. 4A, they're talking about your personal mailing address, meaning you, the flesh and blood man or woman. Now, 5A street address is different from different. Do not enter a PO box. Now, okay, when they say don't enter a PO box, okay, we got to be careful with this. Now, those of us that are becoming secure parties and stuff like that, and correcting their addresses and statuses and stuff like that, we know that we don't use our actual. We don't have an address. We have a home. You know, we have a place where we live, stuff like that. So we got to be careful with giving out our address. So our mailing address can be a legal address, meaning, okay, if you like a personal private UPS box. I said there's other ways you can do too. They have other options, other places and stuff like that. They have online services as well with other companies, but you can use, let's say, for instance, a UPS box. And a UPS box, but only because you can structure that UPS box. You can let the people at UPS know, like, hey, I'm trying to get a mailbox here, but I need the address to read as a regular address, a regular street address, not a PO box. And then once they establish your box address like that, it's not gonna have PO 117. PO Box 117, whatever. It's gonna have an actual street address, And then also, you by that time or after you do that, you're gonna contact your post office and do a change of a legal change of address. So now all of your mail goes in correspondence goes to that private mailbox. Nothing comes to that house. That's a big issue if we operate in a private and as secure parties. Let me see. All right, so now number 4B, the city, state, and zip code, if foreign, see instructions. Now, so for 4B and 5B, we're gonna skip those. Yeah, we're gonna skip those and go to we're gonna go to number 6. Now number 6, we're gonna put the country. We're gonna put the country, let's say Taiwan, that the business is located, and the name of responsible party is gonna be you, the flesh and blood you. So uppercase, lowercase, the proper spelling of your name. Now SSN, TI. Now number 7B, this tells you right here that you have the option to disclose your social security number or your tax identification number or your employer identification number. You have the option. Now, I've tried to establish another EIN number with the EIN number and it didn't work. And that might be because I started it, I established it, but I didn't put no juice in. I didn't establish credit for that EIN number to operate by itself independently without the cosign of my social security number. And basically what that means is a lot of you are gonna understand what I mean by that once you guys get your EIN number for business purposes or trust purposes or whatever. When you get an EIN number and you start operating as a business or operating a business and you start to try to establish business credit. And then when you start to establish business credit, you notice that once you start contacting these places, that they're still asking and requesting your social security number. And you ask them, and you're wondering like why they still ask for my social security number, because you're letting them know I'm trying to establish business credit, but they say, yeah, but we still need your social security number. The reason why they still need your social security number because that as soon as you apply for that EIN number and you get incorporated and establish yourself as an actual functioning corporation in order to establish business credit, now the next level of that phase is to establish credit. Until you establish credit for that new entity and that new identification number, just like your social, you have to start establishing yourself. Start establishing yourself from ground level, meaning small, maybe get some secured cards here and there, some secured lines of credit or credit cards or whatever like that. Meaning you pretty much putting up your own money to establish credit, or you use your social security number, which is what they try to do. You try to request credit. That's why they ask for your social, because they won't even process it or grant you a loan on most cases without that social security number, because that social security number secures the loan for them, because that's like having two people. That's like having a cosigner. That's like having a cosigner on a vehicle or on a house. So it's like, okay, because remember, once you establish a corporation, technically, especially if you do it correctly and don't apply for an EIN number as a sole proprietor. Okay, we'll get to that next. Yeah, okay, we'll get to that now, matter of fact. What you see right here on 9A where it says sole proprietor, it has SSN right there. There's no other option. So if you establish this EIN number as a sole proprietor, you have to disclose the EIN number for that, or regardless of the fact, because you're going to give them an EIN number or a social security number for this application anyway. But you're actually establishing this EIN number as a sole, meaning you're operating as your straw man. That's basically what that's saying right there. If you as sole proprietor, sole proprietorship is not shit. It's pointless to have a sole proprietorship, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because it creates no variation or separateness between you and the corporate entity, you the straw man or you and the social security number. And the whole purpose of starting a business and having having a separate business lines of credit, you know, it's to create separateness between your personal and your business. That has not. If this bank, if somebody sues the company, that has nothing to do with you personally. They're suing the company. If the company goes bankrupt, okay, the company goes bankrupt. That don't mean you go bankrupt unless you improperly structure the corporation the incorrect way. Sole proprietor, yeah, we're coming directly for you. They're coming directly for your ass because you said it right here. That this is going to be the cosign. You know, I'm going to operate as a business and as a straw man. No separation. Now going back up forward, because looking at this application. All right. Now remember, like I say, I don't do these by paper or whatever. I've either done them online for my regular EIN numbers or on the phone for the phone ones. So I'm looking right now. So yeah, now going back up to number 4, 6. You're gonna put 4, 6, and 5B. See, I wonder why they're asking for it twice. So on the phone, they're only gonna ask you once. That's why I say be careful filling out on paper. Okay, so look. Right here, they're asking for the address. 4B is going to pertain to the foreign corporation address, which is going to be your foreign address, whether it's Taiwan or Jamaica or whatever you decide to use, right? Preferably Taiwan or Jamaica. So you're going to Google, you know, Taiwan addresses and stuff like that. And it's like this address right here. And this is the proper address formats for, you know, a country like Taiwan. So you would put that address, or you would give them that address over the phone. That's just for examples. That's an example. So basically, you'll give them you can give them a random fucking address, or you can go through a private mail forwarding service that forwards mail from different addresses. Basically, they sell you a foreign address. Like you can purchase a foreign address box somewhere, or they have virtual mailboxes now where they, you know, they simply establish an address for you, but it actually still comes to you. They forward the mail right back to your actual address where you live. I think some of them mostly start about $50 a month. Or for this purpose, you can very well give them a random address, foreign address, and keep it moving over the phone, because this is what's going to happen. For some reason, when you're doing the foreign EIN numbers, they never send the damn paperwork. They never send the EIN form. Let me show you. All right, so this is shit. My bad. Earlier I said 86 number. Now the traditional trust starts with an 86. It starts with an 82. My bad. It's an 82. The 82 numbers and 98 numbers. So like this, for example, is my traditional trust EIN number, certified letter or whatever. So now, when you're setting up the traditional, trust online, because you can do that one online, and you get the PDF of the certification letter right then and there. Once you get done, they give you the paperwork right there. When you setting up the foreign EIN, for some reason they don't give you they don't send you. And I know why, because they're trying to validate that address. And what happens is even though you give them a mailing address right here, they're still gonna send they're still gonna try to send the letter to the Taiwan address. But who gives a fuck, right? Because look, at the end of the day, before you get off the phone, you're gonna get that 98 number. So write the number down, and use Photoshop. Take one of these. Take the actual the PDF version of one of these. Upload the Photoshop. Fucking shit. Wipe that out in Photoshop and put the real number there. It's a valid number. You know what I'm saying? Put that shit right there, because and just change make sure the address is correct and corresponds to the actual EIN address. Now, because you're gonna have to do that if you don't receive your letter, because once you go into a bank to open up a business bank account, you're gonna need this. You're gonna need this form. You're gonna need the trust letter from the IRS, and you're gonna need the articles of incorporation or whatever documentation you have for your trust if you open up a trust account. So you'll see this right here, say, like the top of it says Trade Capital TR. So Trade Capital Trust, and then it has my name and TTEE, which stands for trustee. So TTEE. Now the trustee is in all caps. Now because the trustee is gonna be the straw man. The straw man is the trustee. And the beneficiary, we're gonna structure it to make the beneficiary us, the real us, the flesh and blood us, which is why we don't get into all that though. But yeah, keep that in mind. Name a responsible party. I think that's where we at now. Name a responsible party. That's gonna be the secure party. Uppercase, lowercase, correct spelling. Is this application for a limited liability company? That's up to you. I don't know. If they say if yes, is this corporation? Is this LLC organized in the United States for AC? If this is a regular trust or LLC, if it's foreign, remember your answer is always going to be no. If it's not, okay, yes. Now, but for trust purposes, that's not gonna apply to you anyway. It's not an LLC. So now for number 9A, we have we're gonna click trust, because that's what we're establishing a trust, and then simple as that. Then 9B. Okay, 9B says if a corporation, name the state or foreign country if applicable. It says on trust. Same, it's self-explanatory. If it's doing the foreign style, you're gonna put the country. You're gonna put the foreign country. If it's not foreign, you're gonna put the state. Simple as that. Reason for applying. Me personally, banking purposes. I'm up under the Private Banker Act, so. But it depends though, because it can be private. Honestly, I would establish one for private banking banking purposes, and create one for a trust, created a trust. Now, my traditional trust, my A2 number, I did that for banking purposes. For my foreign trust, I did that. I said I checked this one for I selected that one over the phone. I said yeah, to create a trust. because the whole objective is to move everything from the traditional trust account to the foreign trust. So the first trust is for banking purposes, and the second trust is for trust purposes, right? Which is going to protect the assets and protect the value. Date the business started or was acquired. You know, you can pick a date, however you want to do it. If you haven't already established it, just give them a date that was before the date that you're calling in. Highest number of employees, blah, blah, blah. That really don't, when they ask you, if they happen to ask you something about employees, if you have employees with a trust, they don't ask you that. For a corporation, they're going to ask you, you're going to want to say about five employees starting off. Because if you say you don't have any employees, they're going to automatically label you as sole proprietor. So anywhere between 3 to 5 employees, or even if you say two employees, that's still saying that, you know, it's other people outside of you or other people that's quote unquote are employed by you or work for you, whether it's independent contracting or not. Number 14. Disregard that. That's up to you. Number 15, up to you. Number 16. Number 16, I went up under finances and insurance. Number 17, indicate principal, blah, blah, blah. I forgot what I put. I think I said, I honestly forgot. You be creative, though, with that. Be creative with that. Number 18, has the applicant ever applied for received the EIN number before? You gotta be careful with that one. They usually don't ask you that over the phone, so I'll say no. Because why? I don't believe in volunteering information. And that's pretty much the end of the damn what's name. You're gonna sign off on it. If you're gonna do the paper version, make sure you sign off and reserve your rights within the contract, UCC 1-308. And that's it. As far as the third party, the designee, there is no third party. It's just you. So you just print, sign off on it. If you want to put your number right there and all other good shit, y'all good. That's pretty much it right there. You know, that's the basics of getting the traditional trust number and foreign EIN number. And like I said, I don't do the paper version with these because I need my shit right away. So I'm just like I said, I have to look at the question because they don't ask all these questions over the phone or read through all these options or whatever. So now let me see. All right. So the next thing, right back up to here. One more thing. For those of us that's interested in private banking and stuff like that, we gotta recognize what this is right here. This OMB number. These are bond numbers. OMB number. Let's see what the OMB number is. We gotta understand these and performance bonds. Let me see. Let's go. All right, let's go to DuckDuckGo. Notice I said DuckDuckGo.com. DuckDuckGo.com is a private browser. If we're not using Tor, the Tor browser right here at the bottom with the green and the gray globe for private browsing. You know, we got to practice and program ourselves to do as much things privately as possible to avoid troll tracking. Now, let's say, what is a OMB? All right, so I had that right there. Now, OMB, it's a control number assigned pursuant to the Paperwork Reduction Act. The purpose This part collects and displays the control numbers assigned to the information. Collection is required containing the regulations of the Office of Thrift, supervised by the Office of Budget, OMB, pursuant to the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995, publication L 10413, 109, statute 163, and is adopted in compliance with the requirements of 5 CF, whatever. Now, information collection requirements that are not mandated by statute, but must be assigned to control numbers. So, information collection requirements. So remember, that's what's going on right here. They're collecting information. Information collection requirements that are not mandated by statute. They're telling you these are not mandated by statute. That are not mandated by statute must be assigned control numbers by OMB in order to be enforced. Respondents / record keepers are not required to comply with any collection of information unless it displays a current and valid OMB control number. And you see different stuff like different control numbers right here. Now, that's all I'm saying about that. But just pay attention to stuff like that. All right, we're done with the addresses and stuff like that. You guys find your own addresses, whatever like that. We don't care about, don't get technical and overthink this stuff about the foreign EIN and stuff like that. We just want to give them an address so they know we have a foreign address or whatever. You want to take the extra mile and get a forwarding service to buy a foreign address, to forward your mail from that foreign address. Go right ahead. It's not necessary to get the number. You know, so you can ask yourself what's your objective. You see what I mean? But those options are available. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you how I did it and what also other options. I don't get stuck into all the extra stuff. I focus on what's my objective. Performance bonds. Those of us that's looking to become private bankers and stuff like that, we gotta understand what performance bonds are. Now, a written guarantee from a third party, usually a bank or an insurance company, submitted to a principal, which is a client or a customer. A written guarantee from a third party, usually a bank or insurance company, submitted to a principal, submitted to a customer by a contract on winning the bid. A performance bond assures payment of a sum not exceeding the stated maximum of money in case the contract fails in full performance of the contract. A performance bond assures payment of the sum not exceeding the stated minimum of money in case the contract fails in the full performance of the contract. That's saying that's how they're talking about promissory notes. A promissory note is a performance bond. Why is it a performance bond? Is because, and who makes it a performance bond? The relationship between you, the bank, which is the financial institution, the actual financial institution, and the finance company, rather. So you, the bank, and the finance company, because this is the thing. You are you, the bank is the bank, and then the finance company is the finance company, but the finance company is not the bank. But the finance company is damn near looked at and treated as if they're the bank and they're the ones giving us the fucking money. In all actuality, all they doing is middleman the transaction between us and the bank and doing what we could be doing in our proper capacity as private bankers, which is issuing the performance bond. Fucking promissory notes of any variation. Bill of exchange, whatever the fuck we want to use. The point of it is understanding what we're dealing with. Performance bond. They just told us right there. They actually told us the scheme right there. Definition defines the scheme. How does that define the scheme? Okay, let's say it again. If those of us that are studying secure party creditors, and studying discharging debt, promissory notes, and stuff like that, and those of us understand that there is no money, and that those of us that already know that that the corporation called USA or America U.S.A, whatever the fuck, these people, there is no money. These corporations are in bankruptcy, so there is no money there is no money inside the corporation unless we're dealing in gold and silver, and we already know they confiscated the gold in 1933. And are repeating the cycle of that history by buying up all the gold from the American people this century. Confiscated this century, now they're buying it back this century. The Federal Reserve IOU promised to pay notes, which again are performance bonds and promissory notes. A dollar bill is a promissory note. It has a bond. They have bond numbers on the dollar bills. They have bond numbers on the dollar bills. Hope all that's sinking in. So we walk into a car lot, you know, that has their own finance company and all the other good shit. And we need this car. The car is $50,000, right? We trying to ride slick. Car is $50,000, and you know they're willing to finance us for whatever the fuck. Who gives a fuck? They're willing to finance us. All we have to do is put down X amount of dollars to create the debt. Put down X amount of dollars, and they will agree to finance us by way of our signature. No finance company on the planet or bank on this planet of commerce will give you any sort of money or bills of exchange, Federal Reserve notes, whatever you want to call them, without your signature. Why? Because your signature produces the funds. And if we sign that contract without reserving our rights up under UCC 1-308, they are in full control over that performance bond. Now they fully control how that bond performs. But what if we reserved our rights within that contract? I think we would probably have a say-so on how that bond performed and who benefited from that bond that's performing. But instead, we sign, which secures the funds and produces the funds. They take the promissory note, in which they don't sign. They don't ever complete the transaction of it's a contract. A contract. Look up a contract. What is a contract? No, this ain't what I'm looking for. Legal dictionary. Okay. A contract. A contract is an agreement with specific terms between two or more persons and entities in which there's a promise to do something in return for a valuable benefit known as a consideration. Since the law of contracts is at the heart of most business dealings, it is one of the 3 of the 4 most significant areas of legal concern and can involve variations on circumstances and complexities. The existence of the contract requires finding the following factual elements: an offer. Remember that word, y'all, an offer. There has to be an offer. So an acceptance of that offer, which results in a meeting of the minds a promise to perform. When we say perform, we just talk about performance bonds. A promise to perform. A promise to perform, right? That proves that right there proves that our promise, those promissory notes that we signed for them loans, and that we sign for these whatever the fuck we get out here that gives up, that produces so-called money in our pocket from so-called lenders, they are using these performance bonds to double up on our ass as far as payment. Because the purpose of me saying that is that once you sign that promissory note to that financial institution for that $50,000 to secure a loan for a piece of property, in which you sign an agreement to pay back that money throughout a duration of 5 years at the amount of such and such $100 per month at an interest rate of 17.5, depending on how much they want to screw you. Some I done seen shit all the way from down at 30%, which is getting molested. You know what I'm saying? So once you sign that dotted line for that promissory notes, we turn it to a performance bond. We're talking about bonds, stocks and bonds now. What can you do with what can you do with stocks and bonds? You can trade stocks and bonds. Because how can they trade that promissory note like a stock and a bond that it is? What gives it the value? It had value once you signed on it. Once you promised to pay, that promissory note became worth $50,000. And you're gonna perform to give them back that promissory, that $50,000 for the next 5 years plus interest. So the interest is even a double guarantee. It's a double guarantee. So not only did you technically give them a bond or a document bond worth $50,000 that they're gonna trade on and gain monetary value off of anyway, you gonna come back and work for the next 5 years to pay them another $50,000 plus interest. So they're gonna end up gaining about over $100,000 in interest, basically. That's what I'm saying. Over $100,000 in interest based on that one agreement. Payment form, which can be a promise or payment in some form, a time or event when performance must be made, meet commitments, term and conditions for performance, including fulfilling promises, performance. I will pay you $500 to fix my car by Thursday. The performance is fixing the car. The performance is fixing that car by that date. A bilateral contract is one in which a promise is exchanged. I promise to fix your car by Thursday, and you promise to pay me $500 on Thursday. So contracts can either be written or oral. So written or oral. They saying it right there. Verbal contracts, not knowing that people can verbally contract you in or out some shit. But oral contracts are more difficult to prove. He say, she say. We deal with a lot of that with these police officers. They talk, we answer, not knowing they verbally contracted us in some shit. They lied. They know they did. We know they did. We can't prove it. Why? He say, she say, who's gonna believe us over them? Same scenario. That's what they're saying here. But oral contracts are more difficult to prove, and in most jurisdictions, the time to sue on the contract is shorter, such as 2 years for the oral compared to 4 years for written. In some cases, the contract consists of several documents, such as a series of letters, orders, offers, and counter offers. Now, keep that in mind, y'all. A series of offers and counter offers. We got to understand. We have to understand the power that we have to counter offer. When we get an offer in the mail, most call it a bill. When we get an offer in the mail, it's exactly what it is. It's an offer. Which is voluntary for us to abide by or comply and pay. Counter offers. In contract law, now we talk about contract law, a counter offer. In order to counter an offer, you have to know how to counter offer. In contract law, a proposal made in response to an original offer, modifying its terms, but which has the legal effect of rejecting it. A counter offer normally terminates the original offer. Did you hear what I just said here? In contract law, a proposal made in response to the original offer modifies its terms. So it don't matter what the fuck the terms and conditions was in the initial contract. The right to contract is limitless. That's what that proves my fact right there. When I always tell people that the right to contract is limitless. So the proposal made in response to the original offer modifies its terms. So we got locked into the original terms and conditions, what puts us at so-called default. But we had based on contract law, the right to contract is endless. So here goes my offer. Here goes my counter offer. Now, but which has the legal effect of rejecting it. A counter offer normally terminates the original offer. So if a counter offer terminates the original offer, can terminate the original offer, what does that do to a bill? Terminates the bill. Oh, it's quite odd that we have the UCC right here too. I love this because this is for people that say the UCC doesn't work and people don't use the UCC no more. I love it. So let me see. Okay, now, but the original offer remains open for acceptance if the counter offer expressly provides that the counter offer shall not constitute a rejection to the offer. So if the original offer remains open for acceptance, the original bill remains open for you to accept, expressly provides that the counter offer shall not constitute a rejection to the offer. That's telling you right there that within your counter offer, you can't leave them room to not acknowledge the counter offer. Because the original offer still remains open. In so many words, it's saying that basically, well, you counter an offer with just actual facts on the actual situation or circumstance, say for whatever the circumstance or why you couldn't pay the bill. You're more so expressing and debating a debt with the so-called creditor as opposed to applying certain laws and remedy within the letter or affidavit as a response to the creditor or so-called creditor. So it goes back to saying that it's not about what you know, it's all about what you can prove. So if we doing and submitting disputes to these people, to these corporations that have facts within it, but no laws to back up our facts, that original offer will be victorious every time. That's basically what that's saying in plain in layman's terms. We can't send these people a letter back talking about I don't have to pay you because the United States corporation or United States is a corporation. In 1933, they confiscated the gold and there is no money, so I can't pay you. Sincerely yours, John Doe. They're gonna look at that shit and laugh. You see what I mean? So that's the point I'm making there. Sorry it took me so long to get there. All right, the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, a body of law adopted by a body of law. A body of law. That's what the Uniform Commercial Code is. A body of law adopted by the states that governs. Adopted by the states that governs. Hold on, let's go see what governs mean. Governs. Okay, let's see here. Oh, hold on. Let's look at some of the Western names. Let's look at some of the Western. Hold on. Let's look at some of the verbs and shit. Administrate, assume command, be in power, command, conduct, control, dictate, direct, dominate, enact, exercise authority, exercise power over, exert authority, give orders, guide, have authority, have executive charge of, have jurisdiction over, the head, hold authority, hold office, hold sway, lead, legislative, manage. You get the point, right? Okay, you get the point, right? That's what govern means. So associated concepts: governing authority, governing body, governing law. All right, now let's go back. Let's go back. That is for the people that don't get it yet. The power of the code. All right, a body of law adopted by the states that governs commercial transactions. Modifies this principle of contract law with respect to the sale of goods by providing that the additional terms are to be construed and proposals for addition to be the contract. All right, we done with that shit. Now we're gonna skip past that. Now we're gonna go to revocable versus irrevocable trust. When it comes to understanding, we gotta know this because we're talking about setting up trust. You gotta make sure you're picking the right shit. Don't assume. Can't go back. When it comes to understanding trust, knowing the difference between irrevocable and irrevocable trust is crucial. If you ask for a revocable trust and get an irrevocable one, or vice versa, the legal and tax consequences will be significant. Revocable living trust. So a revocable living trust, also known as a revocable trust, living trust, or inverse trust, is simply a type of trust that can be changed at any time. Okay, a revocable trust, a revocable living trust, also known as a revocable trust, can be changed at any time. So if a revocable trust can be changed at any time, that can be beneficial, depending on what you're trying to do. Okay, now, in other words, if you have a second thoughts about a provision in the trust or change in your mind about who should be a beneficiary of a trust. They tell you some secrets right here. In other words, if you have second thoughts about a provision in the trust or change your mind about who should be a beneficiary or trustee of the trust, then you can modify the terms of the trust through what is called a trust amendment, okay? Or if you decide that you don't like anything about the trust at all, then you can either revoke the entire agreement or change the entire contents through a trust amendment and reinstatement. Very powerful, very powerful, very powerful, very powerful, and very flexible. You know, very flexible and very customizable. You see what I mean? Very flexibility and the power to customize is very important. Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying what to do or whatever. Now, since the revocable trusts are so flexible, how come all trusts are revocable? Because the downside, here we go, pros and cons. The downside to a revocable trust is that the assets funded into the trust will still be considered your own personal assets for creditor and estate tax purposes. Because the downside to the revocable trust is that the assets funded into the trust will be considered your own personal assets for creditor and estate tax purposes. This means that a revocable trust offers no credit protection if you are sued. Run that back, y'all. This means that there is no protection if you are sued, because it labels you as it connects the trust with you, just like you with the straw man. That's what a revocable trust do. It's no separation between you. There's no separation between the debtor and the creditor. That's basically what that's saying there. Inside a revocable trust, your legal standing is the same aspect as the lack of separation between the debtor and the creditor, you, and the strong man and flesh and blood, you. All right. All of the trust assets will be considered yours for Medicaid planning purposes, and all assets held in the name of the trust at the time of your death will be subject to both state estate taxes and federal estate taxes and state inheritance taxes. So why should you use the revocable trust as a part of estate planning? For three important reasons. To plan for a medical disability. Assets held in the name of the revocable trust at the time of a person becomes mentally incapacitated can be managed by their disability trustee instead of by a court supervised guardian. Yeah, exactly. Or another op. You see what I mean? So now that means you have the power to appoint your own trustee, as opposed to it being appointed to a member of the courts or the bar association on your behalf, as if we could trust them with our shit, right? As if we can trust them with our shit. We already found out we can't trust them with our shit already. That's the whole point we're going through this process. So the power to appoint trustee. All right. Now, which is why we have to establish two of a kind. One revocable, one irrevocable. One regular trust, one foreign trust. So you can move the assets in and out. Move the assets in and out. We don't get too deep into that yet, though. To avoid probate, assets held in the name of the revocable living trust at the time of the person's death will pass directly to the beneficiaries named in the trust agreement and outside of the probate process. To protect, so a person died, the assets is going to automatically be transferred to the beneficiaries, right? That's what we want. To protect the privacy of your property and beneficiaries after you die by by avoiding probate with a revocable trust, your trust agreement will remain a private document and avoid being a public record for all the world to see and read. This will keep the details about your assets and who you have decided to leave your estate to a private family matter, right? Contract this with a last will and statement that has been admitted to probate. It becomes public court record to anyone can see, so anyone can see and read. Irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust is simply a type of trust that can't be changed after the agreement has been signed, or a revocable trust that by its design becomes an irrevocable trust after the trust maker dies or after some other specific point in time. However, refer to revocable trust can a revocable trust be changed? Can an irrevocable trust be changed? For more information about certain situations in which irrevocable can be changed, no, skip that. Trust, it would become an irrevocable trust maker dies. Okay, with the typical revocable living trust, it will become irrevocable when the trust maker dies and can be designed to break into separate irrevocable trusts for the benefit of a surviving spouse. So the typical revocable living trust, it can become an irrevocable trust. It can become irrevocable when the trust maker dies and can be designed. You can design it to become an irrevocable trust when you die, so that a spouse, so it breaks into separate irrevocable trusts, so the spouse can benefit along her him or her lifespan or whatever. Such as with the use of AB trust or ABC trust, or into multiple irrevocable lifetime trust for the benefit of children or beneficiaries. Irrevocable trust can take on many forms and can accomplish a variety of estate planning goals. Estate tax reductions. We ain't gonna go into all that. Estate tax reduction, asset protection, charitable estate planning, so on and so forth. So that I just wanted to run through those so you get the basic understandings between the revocable and irrevocable trust. If you want more information on it, please do your own shit. I'm getting about 2 o'clock. I'm getting tired now. I'm getting tongue twisted. So let's go on to the next thing. Let's talk about business structure, the business structures. Because we have to understand the business structure, whether we establish in a trust, foreign trust, or our own individual LLCs or corporations in general. So, sole proprietorship, the advantages, minimum legal. Hold on, let me blow this up. Okay, sole proprietorship. Minimum legal restrictions, ease of formation, low startup costs, sole ownership of profits, maximum freedom in decision making. Yeah, full liability for everything. Say disadvantages. The disadvantages of a sole proprietorship are unlimited liability. Meaning all you liable for all of that shit. Less available capital. You have less available capital because you cannot separate yourself from the EIN to establish credit for the corporate entity. Everything is going to constantly tie to the Social Security number. Relative difficulty obtaining long-term financing. That's what I just said, right? Relative difficulty in obtaining long-term financing. Okay. General partnership advantages: ease of formation, direct rewards, broader management base due to greater number of owners. Disadvantages: unlimited liability and general partners. Divided authority. You know, you divide authority between the wrong people, you know. Number of owners allowed. Number of owners allowed in sole proprietor, one owner, which means one person responsible. So North Carolina, you have to have a trade non-registered. Formation is taxable. As sole proprietor, your formation is taxable. Taxation issues, not subject to federal income tax at entity level. Tax items reported on Schedule C of owners' personal return. Liquidation, not applicable. All right, let's go back. Number of owners allowed, at least two. That's why I said when you establish a corporation, say it's going to be at least two, you motherfuckers. Not taxable unless the sky sale or the partner is revealed from debt. Tax issues, not subject to federal income tax at entity level. Tax items passed through to the partners. Okay, tax items passed through the partners. Liquidation, taxable to the extent cash distributions exceed a partner's tax basis. All right, limited partnership versus limited liability company. Now, when we're doing our business, I prefer to go with limited liability LLCs or S corp as of right now. The way I feel about it right now. Now let's check out the advantages and disadvantages. Now the advantages of a limited partnership: we have the ease of formation, direct rewards, the broader management base due to greater number of owners. The disadvantages: unlimited liability of general partnerships or of general partners, divided authority, difficulty disposing of limited partnership interests. Limited liability company, LLC. Advantages: can have a single member LLC as disregarded as a disregarded entity. Careful with that. Limited disclosure of owners. No advice IRS filings. Ease of transfer of ownership. Can use different classes of owners. Lower filing fees. Has a longer list of advantages, right, than all these other ones so far, right? No advanced IRS filings, lower filing fees, can use different classes of owners, ease transfer of ownership. You see what I mean? That's a lot of leverage in that, which is why the LLC, limited liability companies, cost more. The disadvantages: larger number of owners complicates status. Yeah, that's up under your control. Death, bankruptcy, or withdrawal of owner can cause problems. Yeah. Now, I had a situation like that. One of my brothers passed away. That was my partner with in one of my corporations, my S corp, because of his death, and I didn't know this at the time. I just so happened to be, you know what I'm saying, looking through my files and researching my company. And trying to get some lines of credit, and had to, realize it was some type of problem. And kind of find out it had me up under the status of involuntary dissolvement. So I'm like, what do you mean I involuntarily dissolvement? And it was because it was because of his so-called death. Okay. Another disadvantage: doing business in other states may require individual tax returns in each state. Number of owners allowed, at least one. No upper limits. North Carolina filings require articles of organization. Formation non-taxable unless disguised sale or the member is relieved from debt. Tax issues: not subject to federal income tax at entity level. Taxes items are passed through the partners. All right. S corp and C corp and X corp. Final ones. C corp. Advantages. Now this, remember I told you C corp. Now I get put onto the C corporation from a attorney friend of ours, which explained to us other advantages that struck our attention that were what the fuck? Why so thirsty on my shit? But he explains to us the extended benefits of having a C corp as opposed to the limited liability companies. You know, so I'm like, fuck it, let's go ahead. Now, so the advantages of a C corporation are separate legal entity, limited liability for stockholders, unlimited life of business, relative ease in raising capital, relatively easy in raising capital. See what I mean? Transfer of ownership through sale of stock. Yeah, because with our C corporation, we did 4 partners with that, and each partner had stock that like stock certificates. You see what I mean? They had their percentage of ownership and stuff like that, and we can easily transfer those as needed and as we wanted to. Can use different classes of stock, meaning different stocks with different values to them. The disadvantages is organizational complexity. It's more complex. So you might need accountants and actual secretaries and official CPAs and taxpayers and stuff like that. Accountants, the whole 9 yards for you to really reap the great benefits of a C corp. Unless you're gonna beat it, wear all those hats yourself, but it's damn near impossible. Expense activities limited by charter, extensive regulations, record keeping requirements, double taxation of profits and dividends. Double taxation of profits and dividends. Yeah, you're right about that. Now, S corporation advantages, limited liability for shareholders and unlimited life of business. Very short advantages compared to the S corp. So as you guys can see, as far as running a traditional business, we need to go, or it may be more beneficial for us to go with the C corps or the limited liability company, LLC. Now, if we don't have the budget or knowledge to run all these different areas to avoid these different disadvantages within the C corp, we might want to go with the limited liability, so we ain't got to worry about all that shit. Disadvantages of the S corp: restrictions on number and type of shareholders, limitations on classes of stock that may be issued. Now, number of owners allowed, at least one. You can do up to 75 owners. Now, S corp, there's no upper limits. It can be useful. Articles of corporations, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. I'm going to close that. You guys finish doing your own research on that. Cover the performance bond, basics of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man, on that. I think we went over quite a bit. In a nutshell, real quick. Of course, that's not all the information on all the different shit, but just to give you a generalized understanding to be able to at least begin making decisions in the right direction. I think we covered everything. Any further questions or suggestions or whatever, leave a comment, like, share. Make sure y'all join the HAILRAZOR Legacy group. Be a part of the movement. Let's educate ourselves, educate each other, and let's build power. Power in numbers. Knowledge is the ultimate power. And sharing knowledge can and will change the world. All right, y'all. I'm tired as hell. I promised I was gonna do the video on the EIN. So that's it. Please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be, because it's not. I don't know all the extra intricate details on how to do every last goddamn thing. It's a lot of people out here that have a trouble understanding how to get the EIN numbers, how to get the 9(8) numbers, the foreign numbers, you know, for the trust, how to establish the trust and stuff like that. I know how to do those particular things, so that's what I focus on. That's what I shared, you know. So hopefully you got an understanding on what's what. Peace.